We have all been here. You tried to multitask and you burnt your toast. That's a tough way to start the day. But while burnt may not be your jam for toast, lightly burning foods can actually provide a seasoning all its own. Today, I'm gonna show you why and how. But first, I'm gonna eat this toast. It's the 1980s, leg warmers, the Walkman, Cabbage Patch Kids, Reagan, the Power Glove. Oh, you already know the decade? Okay, all right. Well, it's the 1980s, and Chef Paul Prudhomme and his wife Kay Henricks of Kay Paul's Louisiana Kitchen in New Orleans have just given the culinary world a new term. That word is blackening. To Prudhomme, blackening meant dipping food, in his case fish, in melted butter, dredging it in a Cajun spice blend, and searing it in a ripping hot cast iron skillet with more melted butter. The fat and spices smoked and charred just enough to give the coating a primal, boundary-pushing savoriness that stopped just short of fully burnt. When Prudhomme was asked in an interview why he blackened his fish, he said, because it gives you the ultimate taste. And that is what we're after today. Boundary-pushing flavor that we can only get by moving beyond browning. Whether you call it char, blackened, or singed, there is flavor to be found at the extremes. Think barbecue burnt ends and even s'mores. Actually, why don't I make a s'more right now so I can show you what I'm talking about. When you toast marshmallows, the inside turns nice and soft and the outside starts to brown. When a food browns during cooking, we are either seeing caramelization, where heat breaks down sugars to produce rich, toasty flavors, or we are witnessing Maillard browning, where heat acts on small sugars and amino acids to create incredibly complex, savory, roasty flavors. Often both can be happening in the same food. Now, I could stop at browning for this marshmallow, but has it reached its full potential? Let's go a little bit further and pick up some gorgeous bits of black. That's what I'm looking for. Now I'm going to slide it off the skewer and onto the chocolate using the graham crackers as scrapers, as one does. For me, the chocolate must be cool and firm, never melted. This is perfect. The graham cracker crunches, the chocolate has the perfect amount of bite, and the marshmallow offers a thin, crisp edge and super gooey insides. But that char, that's the magic. It offers a hint of bitterness and smoke that balances the sweet and makes the whole thing pop. Now, I clearly have some strong opinions about s'mores, and I've had some campfire arguments with people about them. I think it's time to bring that conversation to the comment section. So I wanna know, what is your ideal s'more? Are you right there with me? Do you sub dark chocolate? You don't melt the chocolate, do you? No burn on the marshmallow? Let me know. Okay, back to the matter at hand. A surface that is merely tanned often hasn't reached maximum flavor, and one that is blackened entirely has overshot the mark and burned. But there is a zone of prized next level flavor and complexity as food pushes past the browning phase and elements of charred flavor come into being. And it's thanks to a set of chemical reactions called pyrolysis. The term is rooted in the Greek words for fire and to break or release. It refers to decomposition brought on by high temperatures. When food is heated to temperatures above about 350 degrees Fahrenheit, all of its components, starch, proteins, sugars, fats, polyphenols, flavonoids, start breaking down, creating new molecules that taste deeply roasty, tarry, smoky, and bitter. The trick to doing it well is restraint. Food can only take a modest dose of pyrolysis before it tastes truly burnt. Creme brulee is a great and delicious example. We sprinkle sugar on top of our cooked custard. When we apply heat with a torch, the sugar liquefies immediately and water is driven off. And it quickly transforms from colorless to tan to dark brown to blackened spots. Pyrolysis has entered the chat. The rich vanilla bean custard is complemented by all of the flavors of the caramel, plus the smoky intensity of that char. The sweet tastes less sweet, and the added bitterness provides a wonderful counterbalance to the dish's richness. Okay, now that I'm full of sugary desserts, I'm ready to go to the kitchen and do some next level blackening. Prudhomme originally blackened red drum fish, and blackened fish is obviously wonderful, but the technique can be applied to a wide range of foods. I love it for chicken because it adds rich complexity to a protein we often find a little boring. Now, if you haven't checked out my episode on making chicken breast not boring, there's a link below. Blackening starts with a great spice mix. So we'll combine smoked paprika, salt, garlic powder, onion powder, pepper, thyme, oregano, and cayenne in a wide, shallow bowl. For our chicken, we're gonna make cutlets. So let's do a little chicken prep sidebar here. If you've ever struggled to slice a chicken breast horizontally from end to end into even cutlets, you are not alone. That is a hard technique to perfect, and it doesn't actually make very evenly shaped cutlets, because one end of the chicken breast is obviously a lot thicker than the other. So instead of that technique, we're gonna use what I call the rule of thirds. We cut the chicken breast in half crosswise, so we have a thinner side and a thicker side. Now we just have to make cutlets out of the thicker side. Because it's much smaller than the whole breast, it's a lot easier to slice. As I pull them apart, we can see that we have 3 cutlets of very even thickness already. All they need is a quick and gentle pound so that they're about 1/3 of an inch thick. Thin cutlets cook through quickly, which will mean less smoky searing time. Cutlets are great because there's a high ratio of surface area to volume. That means each bite is gonna be loaded with flavor. Okay, let's cook. I'm using cast iron because once it gets hot, it stays hot, and it can deliver consistent high heat to the surface of the food. I'm gonna preheat it with just a little bit of oil. Because the oil is refined, it has a high smoke point of around 400 degrees. I can use the oil as a visual indicator of when my pan is hot and ready. But butter is the choice of fat for blackening because its small amount of milk solids are a key part of Maillard browning. So now we add a tablespoon, swirl to coat, and then add 6 cutlets. Notice how the cutlets cover almost all of the pan. That's important for keeping smoky in check. Check out this experiment. Here, I only placed 2 cutlets in the skillet. You can see that the uncovered sections of the pan are smoking intensely. That's because the heat of the hot cast iron has nowhere else to go except to the oil and butter on the surface of the skillet. So those areas get incredibly hot and burn, producing way too much smoke. Now check out my skillet with 6 cutlets. The energy from the skillet is absorbed by the chicken, so we see wisps of smoke that are much more manageable. I'm using my spatula to press on the cutlets so that they make excellent contact with the pan. After just 2 minutes, we flip, and look at this incredible blackening. There's a deep, rich brown underneath and a light coverage of char on top. I'll press on the cutlets again, and after just 1 more minute, the undersides are blackened and cooked through. Okay, let's have a taste. This is incredible. The spice mix is super flavorful, and the level of browning and blackening adds an incredible layer of complexity. What's wild is it doesn't taste burnt at all. It's savory, smoky, and meaty. This might be the best chicken breast I've ever eaten. I'll have some blackened chicken, a spoon of creme brulee, and another bite of this ooey gooey s'more. This is without a doubt how to eat slightly burned food. Thank you all so much for watching. Now, just like with something like bacon, eating burnt foods every single day isn't gonna be the best thing for your health, but using the technique in moderation will absolutely elevate your cooking. Now, I'd love to hear what foods you choose to slightly burn. Now, about those s'mores, let me know in the comments what your ideal specimen is. While you're down there, you can grab today's recipes at the link or at cooksillustrated.com/whatseatingdan. Hit like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.